all this stuff off. All right. Hi, everyone. I am Melanie Mirzayan, the owner of Wild Bakes and Cakes. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is going to be a fun class. I will try to go through the class and describe everything step by step just to make it easier for everyone to follow along if you're doing that this morning. If not, like Nicole said, the class usually is recorded and you can go back and kind of watch and follow along there. Okay. If you guys have any questions during class, go ahead and put it in the chat. Nicole will help me kind of navigate through the questions throughout the class so I can help answer any concerns or questions or anything like that. If it's after the class, you guys can get a hold of me on my Instagram page, which is Wild Bakes. You can send me any questions, concerns, anything that pops up. Okay. I usually am very active and I can get all that answered for you guys. All right. So for today, we are going to make chocolate covered strawberries that are turkeys. And we're also going to do turkey legs. And those are with our pretzels. I guess can see that over here. All right. So this will be super fun. It's really easy to make. It just has a lot of different little steps to follow along, but nothing major. There's definitely a small window that we'll have to pop these guys maybe back in the fridge for a couple seconds just to get the chocolate to harden for us to be able to then go ahead and dip the strawberries in the melted chocolate. But that all could be done during class. So if you're following along, don't worry, you can still kind of, get through the steps. All right. So with that said, let's get started. And Nicole, can we go down to perfect? Thank you. All right, so let's kind of go over all the stuff that we're going to need. Obviously, we're going to need our strawberries for today. So for the strawberries, make sure they're washed and they are completely dried, okay? Because we don't want to have any kind of wetness, especially when we are trying to dip into our chocolate, all right? And one thing to keep in mind, the bigger the strawberry, the cooler your turkey essentially will look, and it'll be a little bit easier to work with. But I know sometimes, when strawberries are like out of season and you can't really find the big ones, the little smaller ones should be just fine, okay? But if you have to pick, go with the bigger strawberries, all right? Then we're going to need our mini pretzels for the legs. Okay, so this is going to be for our turkey, and the twisted pretzels are going to be for the turkey leg. All right, essentially you can use the mini ones as well. So if you don't have the twisted one, it's all good. Nothing to worry about. You will need the kind of chewy caramels. Okay, this is how we're going to do our turkey legs. And we will need our mini marshmallows. All right. And of course, we're going to need our chocolates. All right. So the chocolates that I usually get are the Sweet Tooth Fairy brand, the Meltables from Michael's. They're awesome. They all come with a lot of different colors and, all that stuff. But for today, we only need the white one and the regular chocolate one. Okay. And they're really easy to work with. And I'm actually going to take a couple seconds to kind of go over these chocolates, especially for the ones for you guys who are new to all this. Sometimes melting these guys can get a little bit tricky, and I just want to make sure that you guys have a kind of successful process melting and dipping and all of that. Okay. For when we dip our dessert. So if you're dipping chocolate covered, making chocolate covered strawberries, or you're dipping cake pops and things like that, you essentially want your chocolate consistency to be a little bit on the thinner side. Okay, so it's easier to dip and work with. Okay, so for this class, you definitely do want to make your chocolate a little bit thinner, and I'll talk about it here in a second. So the package talks about when you melt these guys, make sure you are using a microwave safe glass bowl. Okay, so don't use plastic or anything like that. It's just not going to work. And when you are starting to melt, you have to set your microwave at 50% power. Okay, this is very important because if you keep your microwave level at 100%, you're essentially going to burn your chocolate. And once you burn it, unfortunately, you can't really work with it. Okay, so make sure you set the power at 50%. And the first round, you're going to set up for 1 minute. And then you pull it out and you mix it really good. And then you pop it back in again for 50%. And then you go through 30-second increments. Okay. Usually, my experience doing a whole bag like this, I'll go through the first minute and then another 30 seconds or so. And I'm usually at that point good to go. Okay. If you keep putting it back in, essentially, you're going to burn your chocolate. Okay. To get the chocolate a little bit thinner, the package here, it actually says add 2 teaspoons of vegetable shortening. So you would put the shortening in your bowl before you start melting it, and then just kind of go through the process. Okay. My experience, this is just me. Every time I have done the shortening, it actually ends up kind of separating the chocolate. And I don't like that at all. So I replaced the vegetable shortening with coconut oil. So you would essentially use the same amount of coconut oil instead of vegetable shortening. Now, I'm pretty sure this method works because it's on the packaging. I'm just telling you guys from my own experience and what I do and what works for me. Okay, so I'm just gonna take it for what that is. So we have the 2 chocolates that we're gonna need. Okay. Melting our chocolates for dipping purposes, I usually use something a little bit more like a deeper bowl because it's easier to dip when it's deeper instead of like shallow. Okay, so just little tips there. And let's see. And I also have the edible gold dust. These are super fun because you get to spray the final turkey and it kind of gives it that cool shine and look and feel of an actual turkey. Okay. Is this absolutely necessary? No, but if you want to make it look really cool, just a little added fun touch. Okay. All right. So we are going to start with the turkey, the strawberry turkeys first, just because that one has a lot of steps. All right, and that'll give us enough time to be able to chill them for a couple of seconds and then start dipping them. All right, so if you're following along, make sure your chocolates are melted or go ahead and pop them in and get them melted and ready to go. All right, I'm going to clean up here a little bit. So we have our strawberries. So for this one, we are going to need the mini pretzels. We're going to need our mini marshmallows and also grab a little bowl of water because essentially we're going to use this to glue everything together here. Is it absolutely necessary? No, but if you have it, that'll be very helpful. Okay. And you'll need scissors because we're going to cut some of the marshmallows. All right. So what we need to do is we need to make sure we have all the leaves kind of moved out of the way. All right. Essentially, we're going to use this to dip our strawberries. You can also put in toothpicks to be able to hold it from there. Sometimes if it's not deep enough or it's not set right, it kind of doesn't work and it falls into the chocolate, but whatever works for you. So go ahead and do that. All right. Okay, so first step is we're going to make the legs. Okay, so we need 2 legs. So each leg is going to need 2 marshmallows. All right, so that's for 1 leg. That's for our second leg. And we need, obviously, our 2 legs. All right, now these guys are a little too long. So we want to make sure we chop off a little bit at the end, and we want to make sure that we keep these 2 kind of the same size, okay, when we're like cutting it up. So just go ahead and pop off a little bit. All right, So we have kind of similar size here. And you're gonna dip your pretzel into the water. And while your marshmallow is sitting down, you're gonna stab it from the center. Okay, so stab it all the way down. I hope you guys could see that. All the way down, twist, 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 and it'll just kind of go in. Make sure you guys can see that. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing. Dip a little bit of water and stab in your second marshmallow, just like that. So these are essentially the thighs of our turkey. All right, so we're gonna make another one for the other side. Same process. Just a little tip, the part that we cut off, you want to make sure that goes in first, okay? Because you want the clean sides to be the showing part of the leg. All right. Okay, so dip and go from the center all the way down, and then twist, twist until it's in. Obviously, there's no right or wrong way of doing this, as long as you get the marshmallows onto your pretzel, okay? And then we do the water again. And same thing, just kind of pop it all into the edge. Okay. And we kind of want to make sure they look somewhat similar in size and all of that. All right. So we have the legs. Now we have to create the wings. Okay, super easy. All you need is just one marshmallow, and you're gonna cut it in half at an angle. Okay, not straight, just go at an angle. So you just cut that off just like that. And those are your wings. All right. So now we're gonna put all the pieces together. Okay, so we have our strawberry, and make sure you guys have your parchment paper set, because that's the best way to, when you're dipping something, you always want to put it on a parchment paper because it doesn't stick, and it's a perfect texture for dipping purposes. Okay, just makes things easier. All right, so now we have our chocolate. Make sure mine is nice and melted. I might have to pop mine into the microwave for a couple seconds just because it's been melted for a while. All right, so we're gonna essentially glue our legs to the strawberry. So get some of it, like a good chunk of chocolate, and you want to glue it to the side. Okay, you don't want to go too high, just kind of on the lower side of your strawberry. All right, and if you can set it on the table so it just kind of sits like that for a second, because essentially we want to make sure that the chocolate hardens and everything is kind of glued together. Okay, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. All right, so we got our chocolate, and we're going to glue it onto our strawberry. All right, make sure that looks good. Okay, and just kind of let it sit for a minute. And now we're going to do the wings. Okay, same concept. Get some chocolate. All right, and the fatter side of your marshmallow will go on top, if that makes sense. So just kind of like that. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Do you guys have any questions up to this point? Any comments? Please put it in.
No questions so far.
Nothing? Okay, perfect. All right, so we're going to glue that on there. And obviously don't worry about your marshmallows getting stained with chocolate and stuff like that, because essentially we're dipping this entire thing into chocolate, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm going to let that kind of sit for a second, and I'm going to make actually another one and give you guys some time to catch up if you like, and then we'll move on to the turkey legs. Okay, so same concept. Get my hands are all getting chocolatey over here. All right, so for the legs, we need 2 and 2, and we need our pretzels. Okay, so I think this time I might make my legs maybe a little bit shorter just because I feel like this might be a little too long. Okay, so just cut off the same size. All right.
Melanie, we actually have some questions now.
Okay, perfect. Let's hear it.
So someone asked, why didn't you dip the strawberry first and then add on the extra like legs and stuff?
Because here, I'll show you. It's easier just to show you a done one. Essentially, this is what we're going for. So we want to make sure we're hiding everything underneath our chocolate, right? So if we do it the other way, we're essentially creating a lot more work. So you would have to dip in your chocolate, then you have to make the legs, right? And then dip this in and then glue it on there. So it's just a lot more process. And honestly, I've never done it that way. So I don't even know what it would look like. But the goal of that is creating kind of the bones of what we're trying to do, and then dipping the entire thing just to get like a cool finished look. Okay, hope that answered that question. Anything else?
Yes, we have another question. Someone asked, is there an ideal time frame that it should set until the next step?
um Not necessarily. I mean, just by the time that we made this is already kind of stuck to my strawberry pretty tight. So I feel like I feel comfortable dipping this into my chocolate now. But if you want to be completely sure, what I would do is I would make all my strawberries, get all the pieces on, and then put that into the fridge, literally maybe for like 1 minute, just to make sure everything is nice and hard and set, and then start the dipping process. Okay, but for now it's looking actually pretty good.
We also had another question. Um, can you melt the chocolate without a microwave?
Yes, you would have to use a double boiler. So the way that works is you would have to have a like a pan filled, not filled all the way with water, but just maybe a little bit of water underneath, and then you would put um your glass bowl on top of that, making sure the bottom of the glass bowl is not touching the water. Okay, and you start simmering the water, and the heat from that's created, it'll start to melt your chocolate, and then you need to constantly like stir it and make sure it doesn't burn or get stick to the sides until you get to the consistency that you want. Okay, so that's another way of doing it.
And then one last question. Uh, your strawberries seem glossy. Did you coat them with anything? Or are they
No,
just naturally beautiful?
I did. I actually got lucky. I went to the store yesterday just to make sure, I grabbed fresh ones. And luckily they had these. And it does make me question, why are they glossy, right? It's like, what kind of coating did they put on this? But no, I haven't put anything on there. I actually washed them too. So that's that's great. All right. So we're going to start gluing our pieces again.
We do have one more question. I'm sorry.
Sure. Oh, go ahead and ask away.
So, could you use chocolate chips instead of meltables?
Chocolate chips. I've never used chocolate chips to be able to dip, but I assume you probably could. You probably would have to kind of use the technique of thinning it out using either coconut oil or vegetable oil. Maybe read the packaging. Sometimes they do say, you can or you can't, but I don't imagine why you wouldn't be able to, because essentially they're the same, kind of the same thing. All right.
I think that's it for now.
For now. All right, so we got that leg on, and I'm going to do the wings, and then we will get started on our turkey legs. And if you are following along, that's kind of a good time if you want to pop your strawberries in the fridge just to make sure that it's set. If not, that'll give us enough time while we're making the turkey legs, give enough time for these guys to kind of set. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to cut this again. Create the wings. Right. Move all that guys over. Yeah, the bigger the strawberries, the cooler the turkeys look, but I know sometimes it's really hard to find them. So as long as they're kind of like medium size and not the little tiny ones, those probably would be kind of hard to work with, just because as you guys can see, it does have a little bit of a tedious cutting and gluing and all that happens. Okay, so I'm just gonna let that sit. All right, so now we're gonna move on to make our turkey legs. Okay, so you need the caramels for that. I'm actually gonna pop my chocolate in the microwave for 1 second, so I'll be right back. And if you guys are doing that, get your white chocolates. You only need a little bit for that one. And your regular chocolate kind of melted away. All right. All right, so now that's going, we are gonna start with this one. So for the turkey legs, we need the twisted pretzels, only because it ends up looking pretty cool with this one. It looks like the actual bone that's sticking out. All right. And for this one, it's really, really easy. All you have to do is get your kind of the chewy caramel and start working with it to get it a little bit more soft. And essentially what you want to do is you want to create kind of that thigh look over here. Okay, so you're just molding your caramel onto your pretzel. Okay, and you're obviously showing some of the pretzel for the leg, for the bone that's sticking out. So half will be covered with caramel and half will be left alone. All right. And so we're just going to go ahead and mold this on there. Just be careful you're not squeezing and pushing too hard because you end up breaking your pretzel. Okay. So the goal is just to kind of cover it and make sure it's nice and stable on your pretzel. All right. See, it's kind of starting to form the meat part of it. All right. And you don't want, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's completely perfect on the other side of it, just because when you dip it, once you put it down for it to dry, you'll have a flat side on the back. So don't worry about if it's like completely covered or not. That's okay. But you want to make sure that your caramel is nice and secure, okay, on the pretzel. Oh no, I broke my pretzel. That's what I mean. You guys squeeze kind of too hard and the thing just breaks, but that's all good. We can peel it off and start over. I should be a little bit more gentle, I guess. All right. So this is super easy. You guys can, crank out a whole bunch of these and then start the dipping process. Okay. Make sure this is nice and good. There we go. So I got one leg. I'm going to do a couple of these. Give you guys some time to do it if you're following along. And you're just forming this again, gently onto your pretzel. Just like that. All right. And I think if you don't want to use caramel, you could essentially use the bigger marshmallows too. It's kind of the same concept, right? You're just trying to create the illusion of there is meat on the bone. All right. Okay. So I have that ready. Got my legs. Maybe I'll do one more. And that'll give us enough time for these guys to be nicely set. So when we're dipping into the chocolate, they don't fall apart. Okay. And that's kind of the goal.
So Melanie, I've got another question in chat. Where
Yes.
did you get the caramels?
I got this bag from the grocery store. I'm in Texas and we have, they're called Kroger. Um, just anywhere. I know Walmart has it too. You guys could grab it from there as well. But make sure it's the kind of the chewy one, okay? Because they have the ones that are hard and you can't really work with those. Okay. And they come in like tiny little square wrapping. Okay.
And then Lisa said, just kind of a fun thing to share with the chat,
Yeah.
she thought maybe Tootsie Rolls would work well as well.
Oh yeah, that would be really fun. Yeah, essentially it's kind of, creating the leg, the bone and all of that. And I'm pretty sure kids would love that. So that's such a good idea. Thanks for sharing. Okay, so I'm going to grab my chocolate real quick. All right. So I have it all ready to go for dipping. Give it a good mix. And you want to make sure that your chocolate is kind of, I don't know if you guys could see that. It's not too thick. And you also don't want it to be too runny, right? Because then you won't kind of coat your strawberries. But I think we're in a good place with this. All right. So let's start with our strawberries. Make sure these are nice and tight. Okay. So again, you can have sticks coming out of the top and you can utilize those to kind of dip your strawberry, or you can just kind of grab the leaves. And again, you want to be gentle and you don't want it to like all these things to get pulled out. Okay, because I've done that. All right. And the goal is to dip the entire thing into your chocolate. And this is why you need a deeper kind of container, bowl, glass to make this process easy. Okay. So you're just dipping it all the way in, smushing it around just to make sure everything is nicely coated. Okay. And then give it a gentle shake, get the excess off. Okay, and you want to be kind of, again, gentle because you don't want the leaves on top to like rip off. So I have my turkey ready to go. Just leave it there. Move on to the next one. Make sure everything is kind of nice and tight. All right. Grab the leaves. And same thing. Dip it all the way. And if you have to like twist it around just to kind of cover the entire thing, and that's fine too. Okay. Pull it out and give it a nice gentle kind of shake just to get the excess chocolate off. All right. Put that guy down here. These are nice, big, healthy turkeys. These came out very cute. I'm excited. All right. So we're going to let that dry. And we're going to dip our turkey legs. Okay. So essentially you want, you don't have to, but I think it looks cooler if you do. Don't dip the entire thing, just leave a little bit of your caramel showing. It just kind of gives it a little bit more, it looks a little bit more real, if that helps. All right, so we're just gonna dip it in there, kind of like that. All right, just kind of shake it a little bit just to get the excess chocolate off. All right, so we have our turkey leg. This one too. These are so fun. Okay, on our last one. All right. Okay. So our turkey legs are pretty much done. There isn't much else we want to do with them, right? So you can, as you can see, they're super easy to do. You can crank out a whole bunch of them, and I'm pretty sure they're very tasty. The only other thing that we need to do to our turkey is we need to, again, you don't have to, but it makes it look a lot cooler to dip the tip of the legs in white chocolate. Okay, so I'm gonna let this set a little bit longer just because it's kind of wet still. So essentially you want to make sure it's completely dry before you do that step, okay? And then what you would do is once you, and I'll see if I can maybe do one just so you guys could see what it looks like. Once you dip it in the white chocolate, then you can spray your turkey with the gold dust and it'll give it kind of a cool, cool shimmer. It just looks really cool. All right, so let me see if I can dip one. Do you guys have any questions so far? All right, so this is all done. Let me make sure my chocolate's actually kind of, there we go. I know these chocolates, they set so quickly, so you kind of have to work fast. But we essentially want to just dip the tips. Oh, it's not working because it's wet. But essentially that's what you would do. Just you would dip the tip into your white chocolate just to kind of coat the top, the edges of the bones, and it gives it a little bit more real look and feel to it, okay? But essentially that's pretty much it, the whole process. Again, it's super easy to make. These guys, they're really fun. They taste really good. It's just, you know, you kind of have to be prepared for for all the little things you have to do for the turkey to get to that point, okay? Let's talk about storing these guys. So with strawberries, chocolate covered strawberries in general, they don't really last a long time. So the goal for these guys would be if you have a party that afternoon, you want to maybe make these that same morning just to make sure that they're fresh and they taste good. You could possibly maybe make them the night before, but essentially chocolate covered strawberries are good for like a day or two, and then you know the juices kind of start rolling on the inside of the chocolate and it gets kind of mushy and juicy and it just doesn't taste good. Okay, so if you guys are trying to plan ahead, you have a very short window to work with these guys, unfortunately. Okay, I mean, could it essentially sit there for 2, 3 days? Sure, but is it gonna taste good? I don't know, probably not. And you always want to keep these in the fridge. Okay, so if you make them for your party, make sure they're sitting in the refrigerator, airtight container, that kind of thing. And then you bring it out for the party, or if you do it the night before, make sure you keep it in the fridge until you're ready to serve it. Okay. The turkey legs, not so much because we don't have any fruit in there. So these guys are fine. Like these guys, you could make them a few days ahead of time, even if you wanted to, and they don't necessarily have to go in the fridge. So they could stay on the counter. Just make sure you guys are covering them properly, in an airtight container, that kind of thing. So the only one that you would have to be concerned with, again, are the turkeys. Okay. So with that said, any last minute questions or comments or anything like that before we move on with our Saturday? Nothing? Okay. All right. Well, this was a fun class. I hope you guys enjoyed this class and kind of learned something new. Um, my next class is, I believe, next Saturday. And for that one, I think we are doing cupcakes. But I usually post the next class on my Instagram page. So if you go to the link, you can log on to Michael's schedule and then kind of book your seat there. Other than that, if you guys again, I always want to see pictures just because I can't see what you guys work on here. If you post anything or if you want to share your final results with me, I would love to see that. So either you can tag me with Wild Bakes or, make it with Michael's and kind of go through those channels. I'll definitely be able to see them as well. Okay. So I hope
Melanie,
yes.
sorry to interrupt. We
Oh,
actually have a few people asking for if you could show how to dip the chocolate and do the spray. Um,
oh
Somebody
yeah.
recommended the dry one off to the right, but don't quote me on that.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I did make this purpose. Thank you so much. I was like, oh, how am I going to show it to
You're
them?
good. You're
That
good.
is awesome. All right. So since we have time, we are going to do that. I just need to pop my white chocolate back in the microwave for a couple seconds. Okay. See how it's setting? It doesn't stay wet that long. So you kind of have to work quickly, but give me 1 second. All right. That was a very good call, whomever that was. I knew I made this.
Multiple people actually. So good catch, everyone.
Yeah. That's so funny. Perfect. Now we get to use our gold dust too. All right. I think I got something going here. All right. So we have our white chocolate. All right. So again, essentially the goal is just to dip the tips of that. Okay. So let's do that. I hope you guys could see it. Just a tiny little bit of dipping. All right. See how that makes it look a little bit more real, right? So it's totally worth going that extra step just to make it look super cool. And then we will spray with our cool gold dust. And these guys are really fun. I love this. Michael's also carries a lot of different shades like the purples and the silvers. So these are really fun added things you can do for your desserts. All right. And all you have to do is just kind of like spray on there, just like that. I don't know if you guys hopefully could see that. I'll bring it up closer to the camera so everyone can see it a little bit better. There we go. And we have our turkey ready to go. That looks very fun. All right, guys. I guess you can spray your legs too. So let's try that before we go. Added funness to our dessert. Super cute. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed this class. Again, if anything else pops up, just tag me on Wild Bakes or message me there, and I'll be happy to kind of help with whatever I can. All right. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend and enjoyed this class, and see you guys in my next class. Bye, everyone.